Welcome to the Chain Out Podcast with your hosts, Jeremy and Daryl.
Hey everyone, yes it is. It's Jeremy and Daryl. It is season 2, episode 79. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just came off a big weekend, a good weekend.
good weekend.
A better weekend for you, but I had a good weekend.
We did have a good weekend, and we not only did we have a good weekend, we've got a great show tonight, and it is crazy. We have a jam-packed show, and you know how I feel about my time and my regulation. You want to
Exactly.
you want to behind the curtain something there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. You're very, if anyone looked at our scripts,
You looked
or
here
the
on the
outline,
screen, you'd see what we do to try and get organized, especially on an event like tonight, because we had the first 2 Canadian A tiers of the year happen this weekend. We had the Foxwood Open out in Ontario and Spring Runoff down in Lethbridge. So we have 6 guests. That's right. 6 guests coming on tonight, assuming everybody can make it and we can make it all happen
you
and
run a tight ship.
juggle it
Yeah,
together.
we'll keep everybody rolling along for sure.
Yeah, I organize the schedule. Daryl organizes how it actually happens in the
I'll
magical.
bring them on. No one's coming on before their time.
That, that's right. So if you do get on early, you'll be in the green room. But who do we got, Daryl? We got from the Foxwood Open.
Well, let's start on the East Coast on the
Sure.
Foxwood Open. We got the TD, a consultant, Daryl Banks. He'll be joining us later. He's been on the show before. FPO winner Chantel Budinsky,
Mm-hmm.
former guest on the show. We've had her. Thomas Gilbert, the MPO winner. We've had Big Maple on the show before as well.
Yeah.
Finishing up at Foxwood, we'll head over to Lethbridge, which is where we were this weekend.
Yeah, it's Spring Runoff.
We have joint TDs.
Mm-hmm.
Rebecca Johnson and Noah Higgins, who also took part in the event. We have the FPO winner from the Spring Runoff, Miss Jo Henderson, who's been on the podcast before, and a new first timer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got the MPO winner, Kota Postma. He'll be joining us later.
Yeah, so hang in there. We've got them all set up. We're going to go bang, bang, bang through all of these guests. And hopefully learn a lot about how both events went. They looked like they were both pretty awesome from what we could see. Well, we know from being at Spring Runoff how great
Mhm.
it was, but
Yeah.
just watching in between where we could, Foxwood looked great.
Yeah. I like this time of year. On the off season, we do what we do in the off season.
Mhm.
When tournament season starts, it's so great that we get to speak to all these, people that make these events what they are,
Mhm.
and the pros that compete in them as well. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. And last week was also big because we did the fantasy picks show for both of the two tournaments.
Yeah.
And we had Matt Lizak from Parked Pro join us. And I had a lot of fun picking for those two events. How about you?
Well, if I live up to Team Shambles' nickname, then it was a little bit of a panic, but I got the name Team Shambles and I won last year. So obviously, whatever I was doing right.
That's right.
Find out later how I did at these two events.
Yeah. Well, we put our teams up in a couple different posts there, and we got great responses online in Instagram and Facebook from our listeners and from even the players too. Hey, they kind of chimed
Yeah.
in. You did a good job at tagging all the players that were picked on the teams.
Tagged as many as I could.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of interaction.
And there were some that didn't get tagged. And one of those players even called us out a bit.
Yeah.
And we had that happen to us last year with Canadian Nationals with Riley Douglas. And we always enjoy it when we get called out. So that's right, Adrian Chevalier, we see you. And we'll be watching for you on future tournaments. So thanks for chiming in there.
Yeah. Should we give a quick shout out to everybody who's in the chat?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. We got a Doc, seems to be a bit of a regular in the chat right now. Sonia was always the first one in. Dylan's in the chat as well. And also, we got a person that doesn't normally make it, but Trevor Okrafka.
Oh,
Not
fantastic.
often he can watch live, but he's tuning in for this one. So yeah,
Well, I
welcome everybody. We like to have you in the chat. Talk amongst yourselves, get involved. We love it.
I do recognize that last name.
Exactly.
Yeah, we do know. And guess what? That's something that's maybe not coming up in the show notes,
Mm-hmm.
but Brooklyn
Yeah.
Okrafka
Okay.
took down her first FA win.
Excellent.
FA1 win.
FA1
sorry.
win, yeah.
Yeah, at the Foxwood Open there. So
That's
congrats to Brooklyn. So we do have a winner for our fan vote, but we will be doing that in the fantasy pick show that will happen after this episode, right?
You got it.
Yeah,
And
got that.
where is it, Jeremy? It's the Chain Out Podcast Fantasy League. See, I even messed it up.
You got it. But we do have another Canadian A tier coming up this weekend, and that's the Dieppe Open. That's going to be in Dieppe, New Brunswick, which is part of the Moncton area. And after the Chain Out podcast, Kevin King, NADGT, so National Amateur Disc Golf Tour Canadian Coordinator, will be joining us, and he's going to be the guest pick tonight on the Fantasy Picks show.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll make our picks for the Dieppe Open. So if you want to watch it live and either help us or Kevin with his picks, I don't think the guests need that much help. It's probably you and I who need the help. You can head over to Patreon. You can join up at any level, including free. Get the link to catch up with us and watch us do the picks live. Put your comments in there, and hey, maybe you can influence us in doing better this week. Not giving too much away.
No spoilers.
And if you don't watch it live, when's it going to go up on YouTube, Daryl? Is it usually about 24, 48 hours?
Yeah, it's going to be, this one, because it's whenever there's a, the picks will go up within, exactly what you said.
24 to 48 hours.
24 to 48 hours, but they will be up before the event happens.
Yeah, and we want you to be able to check it out so that you can put a vote on there before the tournament actually starts and you start to see some of the results roll in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you had something to say from the EDGA board side.
Yeah, taking over from my board position, put a different hat on. You had the episode that I wasn't available that you did solo. You spoke to Matt Dwyer, the VP of EDGA, and you went over a lot of the events that are happening in the Edmonton area that EDGA is kind of running or being a part of. One of those events that I believe you spoke about, I'm not sure, maybe you did or you didn't speak about it. Yeah, is the Chains for Change, the queer disc golf event.
Right.
Now, they're running it a little bit differently this time around. It's going to be a 2-day event. The first day, the Saturday, is going to be the sanctioned, the rated event.
Right.
And then they're going to do kind of like a bit of a fun day, a bit of a, it's not going to be sanctioned. I don't know if they're going to be changing any of the holes and things like that. It's going to be more of a just come out and have fun event on the Sunday. Currently, they're a little bit down on sign-ups for the Sunday.
Okay.
So if they don't reach a certain number on the Sunday, then they may end up canceling that event and it will just be the one event on the Saturday. So if you're in the Edmonton area around I'm not actually sure what we should have looked
It's
up.
just into June. I think it's
I think
right
it was
early
June.
June.
Yeah.
So,
Have a look on Disc Golf Scene, sign up for that, and yeah,
and also
take part in it.
too, you know, one of the reasons to go there is that they do a different layout out at Kingswood in St. Albert, where they take a course that's a small 18-hole pitch and putt, and they turn it into a Kingswood XL for the
I keep
competitive
forgetting
layout.
that. Yeah, the only one time I played it was the event last year, which
Yeah,
I won.
which you won.
So I only know it as that one event. I keep
Mhm.
forgetting that it's actually a smaller course, and that. But yeah, they will be using that XL layout for the career disc golf event, and that's Mike Carey that takes care of that.
Right. And then Andy Seawright, I believe, is coming out with their
I
partner
should
as well.
imagine he would be. Yeah,
They came out last time, and just such great people, and so much fun to have with those folks. So
yeah.
yeah. Now, Chain Out Podcast is proud to be sponsored this year. We've got two big sponsors. One of them is BR Disc Golf. They've got a code. Well, we've got a code through BR Disc Golf for you. And what that is if you use the code CHAINOUT at checkout, you're going to get 10% off. And BR was a major product sponsor down at Spring Runoff, had some prizes in that there. And also, too, Brendan said that he's got some new stock coming.
He does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know I've switched over to Innova, but before I switched to Innova, a couple of the plastic and a couple of the discs that I used to like throwing was Clash discs.
Okay.
Have you thrown any of the Clash?
You know, I had a chance to throw a cookie just recently here, not like a chocolate chip cookie,
I
but
got
they
what you
actually
meant.
have one that's a
Yeah.
cookie. Yeah. Got to throw that one. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I really like my soda. I believe it was I had.
Mm-hmm.
But Brendan has a new restock of the Clash discs. And yeah, as you said, all the Clash discs are kind of named after foods and things like that. You got the spice, the ginger,
Yep.
vanilla, things like that.
Butter.
I like the Clash disc when I was throwing them because I always like to go for that kind of, like the thought space, like
Right.
the smaller market discs.
And speaking of Thought Space, Brendan also has a bunch of those up on the website as well. So you can check those out. And if you've got any kids or somebody just starting out in disc golf in your life, we got a solution for that too with BR, hey?
Yeah, it seems like that's all we are recently. We're just the junior podcast. Yeah. He has a restock of the Dino discs.
Yes.
A lot of discs that are manufactured just specifically for children, smaller rims, lighter weights. If you were trying to get more people into disc golf, if you got family members that they want to, some of those bigger discs are a bit hard for them to hold, go check out BR Disc Golf and have a look at their new line of Dino discs or
Yeah.
restock of Dino discs.
And who
I should say.
doesn't like a disc with a dinosaur on it, hey?
Exactly.
And then also we have another code for you, and that is chain out. Use a space in between chain and out for this one, but you can go to Cardinal Disc Golf, get any new threads that you want, whether it's cool jerseys or hats. They have it there. You'll get 10% off at checkout. And congratulations to friend of the show, Mark Thompson, for being the first one to use our code.
Yeah.
Yeah, he picked himself up a Gannon Burr Ice Crystals jersey, and he used his chain out at checkout, got his 10% off. But not only that, we had a couple discs we were giving away from my Gyro Palooza box that I got before Christmas.
Right.
And he has chosen the R2 reactor. So the R2 reactor, we'll get that to Mark. Thanks a lot for supporting us that way. And that leaves one disc left for the next person to use our code before the end of May. And that is this Glow Vanish. It's a lab second, and you got to use it quick. Use the code before May 31st because this disc will vanish as an offer. And we will be putting that into another giveaway.
And that is a glow disc, if I'm not mistaken, right?
You are correct. I can't remember what color though.
If you hold it up.
All right, well, let's take a look here. This is the best for.
Let's have a quick look, see if this works. No, doesn't really work.
Yeah, but it would work if it was a lot darker in here.
And you held it up to the light a bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my top of show that I had, because I know we've got a lot of guests happening, but I thought while we had some time, we might talk about our experience at Spring Runoff.
Yeah. It's our second year going.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've been playing for a while, we've actually gone back to a tournament that we played the first time.
To get
a lot of other tournaments we never went back to, but yeah, to get revenge. And I think that's the way I looked at it. I was going there just to see if I could better my score, play better than I know I did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you had looked. What did we shoot overall? So it was a 3-round tournament last year. Do you remember what our scores were overall?
I believe it was something like plus 19, plus 21, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my target to go down there, was just to play better than that. And I figured And I know that I can play better than that because looking at the similar times that we played at our local courses last year, now I play our local courses and I'm probably 10 strokes better than I was or have
Okay.
been in the past. So I figured, well, I've got to be 10 strokes better going down there to this event as well.
Well, did you take into consideration, because one of the things I thought about going down this year was there's two courses there. There's a really big course, Nicholas Sharon, a really long Rundle type course, and there's a short technical treat course in Aperture Park. And last year we went Aperture, Sharon, Aperture.
Right.
But this year they set up our division for Sharon, Aperture, Sharon. Did that play into your mind that maybe it would
No.
influence our scores? No?
No, I didn't really take that into consideration. I probably should have done. I didn't notice. Well, now thinking about it, I think last year I played better at Sharon
Maybe because of that. There were some tight
because it was,
tunnels at
yeah,
Aperture.
yeah.
Mhm.
It was definitely more technical, but no, that didn't really come in factor into my play. I just figured that I'm a better player than I was a year ago,
Mhm.
so I should be able to shoot better than I did a year ago. And
Well, why don't you tell the listeners, did that actually pan out the way that we thought it would pan out?
well, it's amazing because like I said, I probably shot +8, +9 on Sheeran last year.
Mhm.
That was our first course. Went down there, played the first course, and shot a +4. And I'm like,
Congratulations.
that is awesome. Like I'm so much better than I was last year. How much further up the leaderboard is that going to put me?
Right.
The problem is that everybody gets better. So I don't know how we ended up down so far down the bottom last year, but I was in 11th place, which was third from the bottom, I
Yeah, I think we
believe.
had 15 people in the division.
So maybe I was a little bit lower than that. I know I was third from the bottom anyway after round 1, but that was
Right.
shooting a +4.
Right.
How did your first round go, Jeremy?
Well, my first round started out.
We should say that we weren't on the same card. We were on separate cards.
Yeah, we were. And my first round started out pretty good. That course starts with that big par 5, and I think I came out of that with a par. And after that, things just kept on going.
Yeah.
And it's a really long course. You're just hoping to get pars, but I managed to get a few birdies. And I was surprised that by the end of the first round, I finished with a -1.
-1?
Yeah. And I was sitting in second place. And as everyone knows, my goal was to be on the chase card. And I found myself going into round 2 on the lead card.
That was amazing. I'm not a score watcher, but Travis, our friend here in Edmonton, he was on my card.
Mhm.
He was checking the score, so every now and again he would lean over and look at me and say, "Oh man, Jeremy's lighting it up," and show me where you were. And at one point, I think it was probably around hole 12 or 13, you were leading the tournament with a -3.
Really?
You were leading the tournament, Jeremy, and I couldn't believe it.
Oh,
It was
man.
so good.
And that was the thing. I was not paying any attention to scores. I had a feeling. You always have a
Yeah,
feeling.
you
I
know-
knew I was playing well.
You know you're playing well, but you don't know how everybody else is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And being that first day, everybody's mixed. So it's not like you know where the good cards are or
Exactly.
the best players are playing for the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did you shoot on that first day? Do you remember?
Yeah, it finished up as a -1.
No, your rating, sorry. Do you know what
Oh.
the rating was for the
It was my first rating over 900. 900 and what? I don't know.
I believe it was
919
919, I think is what you ended up. Yeah.
for an 847 rated MA40. That was pretty amazing. I was so excited to be over 900 for the first time ever.
Yeah, yeah.
And how about yours? What was yours rated for the first day?
872. So I think I'm an 849, and that was an 872 for me on the first day. 872, 871, somewhere around that, because I
Yeah.
know I shot that twice.
And we were waiting for all the rest of the scores come in, just waiting to see how far our ratings would drop because they tend
Exactly.
to level out a little bit.
Yeah,
Right?
it is one of those because on that course we're not playing the same layout as the MPOs. We didn't have to wait for them,
Mhm.
but there was other divisions and things like that. And yeah, you're looking at your rating, and you're like, wow, it's X, and then it's gone down a couple points.
Yeah.
Oh, it's gone up a couple points, just depending on as the cards roll in, right? But yeah, no, that was amazing for you to finish in second place, going into the second round on the lead card.
Yes.
Couldn't be happier for you. I'm so glad that you exceeded your goal going into that second round.
Yeah.
Second round, we go over to Aperture, which, like we said before, is the more technical course. It's the shorter course.
Yep.
And then, yeah, I ended up playing a little bit better at that course.
Right.
And I shot a +2, so better than I did the day one. And that was my first round rated over 900.
Right. You were over 900. And yeah.
Yeah.
And you took the win of the chain out group that day because you ended up having that great score. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's hard to be under par for us on that course because of how technical it is. It starts off with such a tight
Yeah.
tunneled shot. We've talked about it so many times, but that's a great achievement for you. But you know what I think we should do is we like to call audibles on the show.
Let's go for it.
So what we're going to do is we have one of our guests already here,
Yeah.
and it's surprise. It's not going to be Daryl Banks to start us off.
Well, we don't have to do it in that order.
So we're going to do it right away. So our guest that we're going to bring on right now has
Stay tuned for the rest of the spring runoff update.
Yes, we'll continue that towards the end. So the guest that we have on for you first has had a busy start to the year, playing in 5 Elite Series Disc Golf Pro Tour events, as well as a major at Champions Cup. She headed back to Ontario to defend her title at the Foxwood Open. We're excited to have Chantel Budinsky join us on the show. Chantel.
Hey, Chantel, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. Welcome back to the show. It seems like it was just, was it about a month or so ago? Maybe March that you
Maybe
were
a
on the
little bit
show?
longer than that, yeah, but you were on before.
Oh, it feels like just yesterday.
There you go.
Well, there you go. We didn't turn you off too bad then. That's
Exactly.
good. Well, it's great to have you here.
That was the same week that we spoke to Chris. We had
Yes.
Chris on as the special guest that night as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So congratulations on not only the win this weekend at Foxwood, but also on the three-peat 3 years in a row. How exciting is that?
I'm happy that I defended my title once again.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's it. That was exciting when we saw that because we know it was just last year we were talking to you, and that was the second time you'd won Foxwood. And here you go, coming back to it and winning it for a third time. So, yeah.
Very happy with that.
Good. Yeah. And how were you feeling going into the tournament this weekend? Because when we looked, you had some great competition to go up against. Colleen was missing, who's usually a staple in the Ontario big tournaments like that. But Rebecca Dawn, Alicia Hums was there,
Mhm.
Alexandra Paletto, Kat Johnson, Jessica Goulet. They were all there and they were all looking for the win as well. So how did you feel kind of seeing who was on the cards and heading into the weekend?
Everyone's getting so good. So every year I'm getting a little bit more worried because the Ontario disc golf scene is just it's growing, and it's awesome coming back every year and just seeing how much everybody's developed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, that's it. And also, like you said, with the growing, as we've been watching, we had Rebecca on not that long ago, and it was on our juniors episode. And now she's starting to show up on tour and playing in these big events and getting ready to graduate and think about what her future looks like in disc golf. So there are a lot of new younger players coming in. Hey.
Yes, and they throw so far. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's it. That's something that we could all benefit from is learning how to do that. Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned before about how late we got into disc golf, and we know your origin story of how you and Chris got in. But looking at these youngsters now that are getting in while they're still in school and they've just got all these years ahead of them just to get better and better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a little scary.
Well, that's it. And even especially when you see someone like Nico and how good he is playing already, and he's not even caught up to Rebecca by any means yet in
Exactly.
age, and
Yeah.
he's playing so well. So, yeah. So as we get going here, we check the scorecards. It looked like you took the lead in round 1, and then you never really gave any of the other FPOs a chance to catch you. Did you feel like you were in control over the weekend, or, because all we see is what the cards say, but how did you feel about that?
I felt like I was in control most of the weekend. On the last round, I was feeling the nerves and I was making some silly mistakes, but I feel like I've never really lost that I was going to win. I just kept in my lane and try to play my game, and that's all I could do. And if it was good enough, then it was good enough, and apparently was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you look back at the whole weekend, was there like one highlight that sticks out to you? Anything from any of the rounds that you think was a turning point, maybe?
Really, I'm happy that I birdied hole 18 every day. That was nice. And also I parked hole 2 the first day, which is always nice because hole 2, it's a very difficult putt because you have a basket with hazard behind it. It's on a hill, and there's also putting like a golf green right next to it. So that was nice to just park it and get my first birdie of the tournament out of the way.
Right.
Yeah. Look, when we watched the Park Pro coverage from years gone by, as
Mhm.
they say,
Mhm.
I remember we asked you last time about hole one being, why is it that always hole one on all these different courses seems to be tough? How was that hole one for you this weekend?
Hole one was tough again. We always have crazy wind at Foxwood, so it was no change this year. We had crazy wind,
Yeah.
and I actually was there for my par every day. I just missed my like 15 footers. I don't know what it is. I just couldn't get my putter up in the air to stay in the basket. So, but you know what? I played the hole better, so that's something.
There you go.
Oh, 100% it's
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
for sure.
Did you have? I know we know that Chris was taking part in the event as well. Did it line up that he was able to caddy for you?
He so the first day he couldn't, but the next 2 days, since he didn't play very well, he was able to stick with me for most of the round.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's always good to have. Do you think you play better with Chris on the bag, or sometimes does it not even come into consideration?
Sometimes I do. He never bothers me when he's there, obviously.
Right.
Sometimes when I'm really nervous, I like him there. He just helps calm me
Yeah,
down.
that's it. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you'd mentioned it was quite windy, and we saw the final videos there that Daryl was able to record with your last putt, and then he did one for Thomas as well. And you could just see the flags whipping along. When you go into a tournament like Foxwood, where you know it's windy, do you set up with a different strategy? Do you have a different game plan going in? Are you changing your bag up or putting different discs or?
Yes, so I definitely put in a couple extra stable discs just to have. So if it's like a crazy headwind, I can just throw that and know it's never going to flip over. I also gave Chris some extra discs that because I knew he didn't have very many stable discs that he could probably throw on like a sidearm. So that worked out well. And other than that, I played just a little more conservative, try to keep it away from OB or just try to throw more stable. Don't worry about too much about like the distance or anything. Just try to get your pars. And that's really all that I change.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Was one of those discs the D2 Air that we seen him throw?
No, I think
Maybe not good for the wind.
he went up to a D1.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
there you go. And with that stabling up, was the wind, was that enough for the wind, or did you still find some discs turning over that you were like, how are these things turning over?
Not really. I think my one D2, I just put it in the bag. So as the weekend went on, it started to flip up just a little bit more. It was getting a little more beat in, but nothing really surprised me. Everything was worked out pretty well.
Good.
Good. Sounds
Good.
like you had a game plan and you stuck to it and everything kind of worked out for you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So it sounds like a lot of things went well. One thing Daryl and I will do after a round is we like to talk a lot about, the really highlight moment. And then we'll also talk about the one that got away or the one that we wish we could take back. Did you have any moments like that over the weekend?
I did. So I really wanted to keep all my mistakes down to at least a single bogey because everyone hates doubles or triples. So I was
Yeah.
doing a pretty good job of that until hole 14. It's a very long, hard hole, and we had a very tricky head crosswind, lots of OB and hazard, and I found a hazard and an OB. Yeah, I laid it on the green. So I had two OB strokes. So I got my first double bogey on that hole the second day. But then I was able to keep it clean and only take single bogeys for the rest of the tournament.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that's it, is like if you can bounce back that way and not let it get to you, that's probably as much of the game as the actual playing, is that comes into that mental side of being able to bounce back, right?
Yes, and you really got to just accept your mistake and move on and say, okay, how can I save my par or my bogey? Like
Hmm.
sometimes the hero shot just is not what you should do.
That's fair.
Exactly. Well, and when you look at that too, it's if you're still thinking about the last hole when you go into the next hole, I that can't help you. There's no way it can help, right? So
No, it never does.
So we've spoken to other TDs about, when you have an event on a weekend, making sure that there's enough things to do after people have finished their events. were you able to, what sort of things were happening off the course? Were you able to participate in any other things that was happening, or did you just want to get back to, you know, wherever you were staying and just kind of focus on your game again?
Well, we actually played pretty late for an FPO card. I think we were teeing off around 2:40. So by the time we were done, it was getting pretty late. We're hungry, we want to go eat. But I know they did have some stuff going on, but the weather kind of ruined it. We were supposed to have like a long drive competition and that kind of stuff, but we had a rain delay the first day, and that kind of just messed everything up. But I got to hang out with Kat Johnson, Cody,
Okay.
Josh Sachs, and Willem. So that was really nice. We got to go out and eat and just hang out and watch the Toronto Maple Leafs game.
Oh, yes. Well, we watched it as well over
Yeah.
the weekend, and it was unfortunate it didn't go as well as probably the Leafs fans were hoping for, but
I felt sorry for all the fans.
definitely.
We do have a question from the chat here from Doc Zen. He wants to know, is Chantel considering going to Worlds in Estonia, or is that too far away time-wise? I think we had mentioned this, we had asked you this question before, but you can mention it, answer that question again.
Yeah, so we're going to Worlds. I think it's in Finland. The one in Estonia, I think is what is that? Another
The European disc golf
Yeah.
event. I can't remember what they call it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We're not going to that one, but we're definitely going to try to make it out to the Worlds.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, and you've got a really quick turnaround when you think about it. You just finished up Foxwood and now you're heading out to Moncton, New Brunswick. Have you already left? Are you there? Like what's the plan on that?
Yeah, so we left right after the round. We drove for 5 to 6 hours. We spent the night in Cornwall, I believe, and then we drove the 11 hours here. So we arrived yesterday late at night. And today I got my first practice round in.
Oh,
Okay.
well,
And how did that go? Is this the first time playing the course?
Yes, this is my first time being out this way. It's really beautiful, and the course was awesome. I can't wait to go play it again tomorrow.
oh, great.
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
And with it too, I was doing a little bit of research because we're doing our fantasy pick show, and I know that you saw that we picked our teams, and we like to tag everybody and cheer everyone on. So we'll be picking for the DF Open this weekend. And when I was looking, did they create some new holes, or I saw something about a safari hole, or did they stick with just the way the course is normally set up? Have you noticed?
I'm pretty sure they changed some things around. I'm not exactly sure what and where, but I'm pretty sure he mentioned that they changed a couple things.
Gotcha. And
Perfect.
and is it looking like a course? I'm looking for some insider information here, Chantel. Is it looking like a good course for your play?
I think so. There's a lot of really birdieable holes, also some looks for eagle chances, but also totally just mess those holes up and get like a triple bogey. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
Yeah. And I think too from the pictures, it looks like a pretty good mixed course of some open shots and some wooded shots. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, so more of the beginning is kind of open around the baseball fields, and then you make your way into the woods, and it gets pretty tight.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, well, that's awesome. We're going to be watching you for sure out there. And then we also looked, and you've just got a jam-packed year this year. You've got so many tournaments you're signed up for. Are you excited for that? Are you going to need, is it like a Red Bull season is what you need for a sponsor maybe or something? Or
Yeah, really. No, I'm really excited, and I don't know, I just never get tired of disc golf. So I can't wait, but I'm sad because it's just so fun and then the year's over before I know it.
Yeah. The
exactly.
truth.
Yeah, we hear you on that. Well, that's we wanted to keep the time short for you so that we didn't keep you too long. We know you got lots of probably sleep and practice to do here for this next big tournament. But before we let you go, did you want to take a moment to mention your sponsors or shout anything else out?
Of course, yes. So always thank you, Prodigy Disc. I can't be doing this without them. Thank you, Drive Bags, The Goat Towel, and Disc Republic. If you go on discrepublic.ca, you can use my code Miss Frisbees, and you can help support me by buying my tour series D2 Air.
Yes.
There you go.
And they
Awesome.
have such great designs on them this year.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they really leaned into the natural disaster type theme and they look so good. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, they did an amazing job.
Yeah. And one last thing that we should say, and Brendan mentioned it in the chat here, is good luck on tour, but congrats on your qualification for Throw Pink.
yes.
That was,
Thank you. I'm so excited I get to return.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Can't
that'll
wait to
be a
see you
great
there.
event.
Yeah.
So have a good one, Chantel. Thank you so much for joining us. Who knows? We might be talking right away next week if the weekend goes well. So
Awesome.
Here's
Okay.
hoping.
okay.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
Thanks.
Chantel's always great to have on the show,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah. And you
Yeah.
just can tell because you just look at the comments and the comments are blowing up. Thanks everybody for putting your comments in there and supporting her. I'm sure she can see them when they're scrolling there, depending.
Depending on what she's looking at on her screen, yeah. But I always put up the good ones that we the good questions.
Well, there's so many good ones in there,
Yeah,
but you can only
exactly.
pick as many as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great.
Well, it's good. Yeah. So that sounded like a great time. The wind is in there. We'll have to ask Thomas how the wind affected him because what we do know with Thomas is he's got a really big arm, throws so far. And anytime we talked about this, even I think was it with Connell McLeod, Luke Levesque, is that when you throw and you can throw long, if you are off by a little bit like we are and you throw 250 feet, it's not a big deal.
Right.
But if you throw 450 feet and are off the same amount that we are, that line just gets wider and wider.
Exactly.
Now add a bunch of wind into it.
Yeah. And like we've mentioned before, we coined the phrase the Muskoka layup because it's one of the, Thomas has got such a big arm and such a
Yes.
big drive. If the wind is, if it's a tailwind and he's trying to lay up, that it's almost hard for him to lay up shots because he's got such a big arm.
Yeah.
So we should find out, if he's got a chance to practice the course yet.
Well, and I can relate to that. I know you're going to say, how can you relate to that, Jeremy?
I don't think we've ever said Thomas Gilbert and Jeremy can relate to that in the same sentence.
I think on a very much smaller scale. And that's when I'm just, what is it, like 150 feet out from the basket. It's too far for me to putt.
Right.
And then it's time for me to lay up. I can't seem to control my speed and distance
Yeah,
on
okay.
those throws.
That's fair.
Is
Yeah,
that fair?
I see what you're saying.
All right. Well, while we wait for Thomas, it looks like Daryl may not be joining us tonight. But you know what? Why don't we just go back to some of the things that we were going to ask him about?
Well, why don't we finish our spring runoff?
Sure.
Then we'll speak to Thomas and then we'll see if he's coming on. If not, then we can always fill in Daryl at the end.
Sure. Sounds good.
We don't want to jump ahead and then fill that in. And then if he comes on, we're just going to be doubling up again.
All right. So I think when we left off, you were at round two.
Round
You
two.
finished off pretty happy with your 900 round.
I shot my best ever rated round over 900. So I was happy that I got it. I think it was like a 905.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that you should remember your best ever rated round.
That's right.
But again, looking at the ratings, it was going up, it was going down, it would go up a point or two, it'd come down, and then it finally settled. I think it was a 905 rated round at the trickier course. And I don't know if other people can relate to me. Maybe you knew when you were playing on the other course that you were playing well.
I did.
And a -1 is a great shot. We went round the practice round, and I think we probably ended up +3. But I didn't feel like I played that great.
Right.
I felt I played good, but I ended up +2. So obviously, there was some putts that I left out there. And, as always, we always say there's shots that you leave out there. There's also, lucky shots that you got. So it all kind of evens out. But I didn't think a +2 would have been over a 900 rated round. So
Right.
I was kind of surprised at that, but I was very happy with it.
Well, for sure. And you're right. We've gotten to a point where we're a lot more realistic, is that at the end of a round, you want to say, well, if only I had this shot and if only I had that shot. But then you also have to look at that one that just missed the tree, or that one that hit the tree and pushed forward and you still did your up and down. So if you're
inbounds and not out of bounds.
That's right. So if you're going to try and take some strokes back that you missed, then you probably have to give some back to the course that you got lucky on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The course giveth and the course taketh away. So yeah, that was my second round. How did your second round go?
Second round, you know what? When we start on that course, we talked about it, a tight hole one where you've got spruce trees on both sides. The goal is to get down the middle. And not normally do we get down the middle. We're taking bogeys, we're taking doubles, we're doing that type of thing. But you know what? At the very last second, I was warming up right before I went out there at the practice area, threw a couple putters and went, these putters are flying pretty straight. And I downgraded from throwing a mid or a fairway, which was my intention, threw a putter, got a par, and that started out the round pretty good. By the time I got through, I had so many, I know this feels like a bit of a cocky thing to say about the weekend.
Well, you're on lead card, so you have that right to be cocky.
Well, what it was I usually putt very well, but I really didn't find myself having that much long tester putts.
Right.
So when the tester putts, even if they were 20 feet, came up, I struggled. So I finished the round, I believe, +3.
Right.
And that was still good. That was really on track with what we did. +3 or +4, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that, which was pretty much on track with where I wanted to be compared to last year. And there was some stuff, of course, I would have wanted back, but overall it was a great second round. And then again, not 900 rated, but right up around that area.
So that dropped you down to chase card.
Yeah, put me to the first person on chase card for round 3, which was 5th,
Yeah.
which was probably a much more where I wanted to be because I was more comfortable not having all that pressure of lead card.
There you go. Just noticed that Josh Kern, I don't know if he's just copying me, but he said exactly the same thing. The course giveth and the course taketh away.
He's laughing. I think he likes it because he's recognizing your Monty Python Holy Grail Caesar.
Yeah, maybe there you go.
Yep.
So then heading into round 3,
That's right.
you're on chase card.
Yes.
I've moved up a few spots and I'm on chase card.
You made our goal.
I made our goal.
Chase card, brother.
Yeah, going into round 3.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
I'm just thinking about how I felt like the round went. We haven't really spoken about how it went. I think for the most part, I think it went okay. There was a few putts that I missed, or it was mainly my up shots. You were saying about, that you never had to make a putt over a big putt because you were always in that 10 to 12 foot range.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple of times on my up shots where, and we know that Nick Sharon is a long course, so there's quite a few long par 3s. So there's no chance that we're birdieing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about the upshot. Your drive can be out in the fairway, and you can, you can be 10, 15, 20, even 30 foot difference from somebody else on your drive. But like we say before, if you've got a 400 foot hole and you can drive it 300 foot, you've got 100 foot into the basket.
Mm-hmm.
But if you drive it 200 foot, you've still only got another 200 foot to the basket. So your second shot is going to be around the basket. And I think that's where I was kind of let down. There was a few holes where my up shots weren't in that easy putt range. And I think I missed a few. One went over the basket. I think a couple hit the cage and went down, obviously correcting, thinking,
right,
I don't want to put them over. So I hit the cage. But ended up shooting another +4. So I went +2, +4. Sorry, +4, +2, +4.
Right.
For another 871, 872. The first and third rounds were 1 point away from each other. So many points above my actual rating for the event.
Which you come off, and you finish off with a birdie, which is that hole, that 18th hole at Sharon is within birdie reach, but you have to have 2 good pulls to get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is normally the way it goes, right? When you get to hole 15, 16, you kind of relax, you fill in, then you find your groove, and then every shot is working.
Yeah. No, that's good. And me going into third round, my first goal is that long par 5. The road is right on the right-hand side. And the first goal is just don't go on the road, don't go OB. And I achieved goal 1. But I forgot that the second shot, because it is a par 5, is also should be goal number 2. Don't go on the road, don't go OB. But I threw it across the street. So I came out of hole 1 with a bogey, went into hole 2, took another bogey with a missed putt, but then everything got back on track.
Yeah.
Started getting the pars, got some birdies, and by the time we got to the end, you were waiting for me. You had just gotten off the course.
Yeah.
And there was 2 cards left for our division, so we thought we'd watch those. You watch me, then we watched the other card. And I was in a position where I had the opportunity to birdie.
Well, going back a hole prior to that, I think it was maybe 16 or 17, because obviously the score doesn't update. It says you're on 16, but actually you're on 17 sort of thing. You're cleaning up.
Right.
There was one time on the scorecard where you were one shot out of third.
Okay.
Or you were tied for third and one shot out of second, or something along those lines. But because the lead card was behind you, by the time you got to 18, I think you were 2 shots.
Okay. So at that point there, I had Travis Bouchard on my card, and he was playing lights out. Congratulations to him. He ended up finishing second in the tournament.
Yeah.
And as we were walking up after our first drive on that hole, he said, "Do you want to know where you're at?" And at first I said a quick yes, which is not my normal. But then I realized, no, I don't want to know where I'm at because it's going to impact my next throw and my putt. So I said, no, don't tell me.
Right.
But I knew the fact that he was asking me meant that I had to be in a reasonable good place.
Yeah.
So I threw my second shot, and I was 25 feet or so out, we figure, for my putt for birdie. And I thought, you know what? I can get this birdie.
And if you got that birdie, that would have been tied for third.
Right, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm standing. I'm looking at this birdie, knowing it's important, going to get it. I throw it. I catch chains, catch him on the left side. It almost feels like it's the end of one of our episodes. And what happens? I chain out. So the chain out boy chains out on the final hole, which dropped me that extra stroke, which turned out to be the one that would have had me tied for third. And I finished fourth. So,
And that's the thing, right? You finished an event out of 15 players in fourth place.
yes. And when we looked at our ratings overall of what
Mhm.
our actual PDGA ratings were, I think you said we were 12th and 13th out of 15 people in the division. If you just looked at our ratings before
Yes,
the tournament
but
started.
prior to the event starting. Yeah.
So we definitely swung above our pay grade there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really good. That's kind of how our tournament ended. But I think we've got another guest coming in.
We should. Let's get right to it.
All right. So I'll get my intro ready. And, if you follow Canadian disc golf, our next guest is probably a household name for you.
Oh, yeah.
Last month, he won the Muskoka Open. And this past weekend, he was out at the Foxwood Open looking to defend his title. We're happy to welcome Big Maple himself, Thomas Gilbert, to the show. Hey, Thomas.
Hey,
Hey.
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're welcome. How are you doing?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Doing really good.
Doing good.
Yeah, great to see you again. And I was just looking at some stuff just before as we were getting ready for the podcast, kind of to see where you were. We knew you were heading out to Dieppe, but you're already out there. And did you just finish doing one of your Big Maple events?
I did, yeah. I just finished up like probably a little over an hour ago.
Oh, wow. Well, thanks for making the time for us. We really appreciate you doing that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. How did the event go?
Oh, it was great. Yeah, we did kind of like late afternoon, evening type round. So we did like the meetup and get your players packs from uh 4:45 to 5:45, and then started the round at 6. Wrapped up, did like prizes, little CTP throw off, and then the clinic all wrapping up around like 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So
Okay.
yeah, nice
That's awesome.
full day of events.
Yeah.
And when we've talked to you before, when you do a Big Maple event, that's an opportunity where you kind of, when the round's happening, you go around and get a chance to play with each of the cards and throw a couple throws with them. Is that how that works?
Yeah, exactly. So you get two discs as part of your players pack, and then you bring a third disc of your own, play with that disc for those three discs for your entire round, and see what you can shoot. And then as well, I'm running through the course, catching up to all the groups, playing like a whole with them, and yeah, they get to show me some of their stuff, and get to see me either pure line or get to laugh at me hitting a tree. It's all good fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome.
Well, we know last year, but we want to get into Foxwood, but I just want to get a little bit more Big Maple while we're at it. Was last year you did some Big Maple events out west in the BC area. Are you doing some
Yep.
more of them this year that people can keep an eye on if they're interested in being part of one?
Yeah, I'm hoping to possibly do one around like the BC Open timeframe. If possible, I need to arrange like all the disc shipments up to BC and make sure that's all possible before kind of confirming and posting up any type of events. But yeah, I would love to run some more out there this year.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, let's start with a couple of congratulations for you. So, first off, congratulations on the win this past weekend. And
Thank you.
secondly, congratulations on a three-peat.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, repeat
Yeah,
2 years in a row now. Pretty good. I like the trend of it.
it really does feel like this is Chantel Budinsky and Thomas Gilbert's tournament. You both have won it 3 times in a row. It's so impressive.
Yeah, Foxwood is always a great event. Course sets up well for my game, and it's always fun playing out there.
Yeah.
What is the real reason that you keep coming back to the event? Is it because you like the course? Is it because the event sets up good for you? Or is it that you just need to keep coming back to defend your title each year now?
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the trend too. Like, I mean, TCO kind of seems to be like that as well.
Mm.
I think I three-peated there last year, and so we'll be going out there again this year, trying to get that fourth title.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's fantastic. Overall, then, we know you've won the event, so that's great. But how did the weekend go from your perspective? Did it go according to plan? Was it an up and down weekend? How did you feel about it?
Yeah, it was pretty solid overall. A little bit of an up and down, especially in terms of the weather. like all week it was beautiful, 30 degrees, super warm, not that windy, and then Saturday, Sunday was just super cold, super windy,
Mhm.
probably about 8 degrees, with winds gusting from like 30 to 40 kilometers an hour. And so it just felt really cold, tough conditions with all the wind, trying to like
Right.
manage the golf fairways and the sloping greens and tough putting greens. So that was definitely tricky. The first day and the second day. And then third day improved a little bit. Wind was like a little bit down, and the sun was out, which made it feel a lot nicer. And yeah, I was able to kind of battle out, shoot a hot round, the final round to make up some deficit from the leader, Lance Brown, and able to take it down with a three-stroke lead at the end.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned in Lance Brown there. We looked at there was a couple new names coming up from the US. So we had
Mhm.
Lance Brown, as you mentioned, Wyatt Mahoney, Evan Walker. Are you familiar with these names, these MPOs? Have you played with them before?
Yeah, yeah, I played with all three of them before. Lance, I knew the most just from like back in the day. We actually used to travel to a bunch of the Pro Tour events together and stay in
Okay.
like similar housing arrangements. So I knew Lance really well. I played with Evan and Wyatt down in Florida a little bit, like earlier on. I think I played with Evan last year at one of the Florida events that I won, and then I played with Wyatt a little bit, I think at one of the Florida events and then a couple of events like on the Pro Tour throughout the years as well.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, it's good being
Yeah,
familiar with them there. And it looked like all three of them were looking to make it close and were battling right with you to the
yeah,
finish and right on that
yeah.
final card, even. Did you like feel any national pride or maybe a little pressure to make sure that a Canadian won this one and didn't let the Americans come up and take it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And especially with the, like, I know it's a really enticing event for the Americans because of the USCGC spots. I think all of them are pretty much coming up to hopefully snag one of those couple USCGC spots that the event offers.
Hmm.
And so like yeah, just making sure that a Canadian got one of those spots and then as well, yeah, defended the title was really important. I know I had a lot of people come up to me before the round saying, "Hey, I know you got this. Like, go chase him down." And yeah, so it was really awesome to see all the encouragement getting a Canadian win on home turf.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, we said that before that you've played out there so much. It must seem like Foxwood is like you got a home course advantage there. Are there any local lines that you maybe threw, or maybe even some Thomas lines that maybe the other players wouldn't have known about?
Um, a couple here or there. I think like there's definitely a couple holes where I'm more comfortable taking a slightly more aggressive shot on the hole just because I know
Yeah.
like my angles or my throw for that hole particularly. So I know there's like even two holes that I roll throw a roller off a tee. I think it's hole 7 and hole 18 where I can get way further up the fairway than anybody that I really play against and
Right.
makes the birdie a lot easier, especially on hole 18 where the birdie is a pretty tough birdie to finish off the course. Like it takes two really good shots and usually going distance driver for most people. But if I can get like a good roller down, like the first round, I was able to approach the green with a putter, which I think is
Okay.
a huge advantage on that course.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's a cheat code because Thomas
Yeah.
outdrives a lot of people anyway on just with a regular drive, but yet being able to out roller them, it's,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think too that probably comes in handy with all the battles that you've had with Marty Hendel because he's got a pretty good roller on him too, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think like I kind of first started trying out the roller back in the day, watching his game and how successful he was at the roller. Especially I remember like I caddied for him at the 2016 Toronto Island Maple Leaf Open
Right.
Okay.
and yeah, watching him battle out with like guys like Paul Ulibarri and like Dan Hastings and Brad Schick and those
Nice.
type of like top players from the states that came down trying to get the win, and Marty outplayed them all. Like it was definitely picked up a few parts of his game that I knew I wanted to learn and develop in my game too.
Oh, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
fantastic
That's a great person to learn from.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
So when you take a look at the weekend and you have all of these shots and these putts and these moments, some of them great, some of them not so great, is there something that stuck out in your mind where you're like, that was a good solid memory from the event, something that you were really proud that you did on the course?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, a big part of it was just staying in it the first two rounds. Like it was
Mhm.
really tough, really cold. Like it was kind of a little bit draining. Like even just kind of emotionally and physically throughout the round. Like it was really easy to kind of just get frustrated and feel like, oh, it's not my day today. I'm just gonna hope for the best and like kind of get defeated if you're throwing these bad shots. So like really kind of making sure that I was still focusing, still executing my shots. I was really proud of that. And then the final day, like my putting really felt like it came together. And I think that was a big separator of like getting all the birdies, staying clean throughout the entire course, and shooting that hot round that got me the win.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
We just spoke to Chantel earlier on, and I asked her if Chris was on the bag for her, and she said he wasn't on for round one, but round two and three he was able to. And I'm just trying to think back now. I don't think you're a player that would normally play with a caddy. Do you ever play with caddies, or do you have, like amateurs come up and offer to carry bags for you? And would you take a caddy if that was offered?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, typically for most events, like don't have a caddy for the most part. Foxwood actually is one of the few events that I have had a caddy almost every single year. That's like one
Okay.
of the few events because of how close it is to home that my parents will actually come out
Right.
and watch the event, and then I'll have my dad caddy for me for the tournament, and then final round I had my mom on the bag caddying
Right.
for me because my dad unfortunately pulled a muscle in his back at some point on the second day, and so yeah, she finished off the final round there with me, and then yeah, for like typical events, usually it requires me to kind of like know and like have a relationship with the person beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
just because I feel like I like being able to chat with a person and kind of like have that repertoire with them beforehand to really feel like comfortable with them on the bag for caddying for an event.
Right.
There's definitely like opportunities where if someone comes up to me and like get chatting with them and they seem like a cool person, then yeah, absolutely, I'm open to taking caddies
Right.
at events too.
Oh, that's great.
Cool.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a lot of people in the chat, and they've just been loving having Chantel on and now having you on as well, Thomas. And we've got Trevor Okrafka and Brooklyn Okrafka in there. And I think there's a question if you want
Nice.
to pull it up there,
I
Daryl.
can go back and have a look.
It's there.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Well, maybe not a comment, a question as much as a comment.
Yeah,
So,
she's impressed with Thomas's drive on day three on hole one. And we spoke to Chantel about hole one being a tough starter hole, but you
Yeah.
seem to have
Yeah.
that one pretty nailed down.
Yeah, so like actually this year it was interesting because the wind was quite heavy from right to left. And so for this year for the first time I actually changed up my line, was going the hyzer route. Like there's like a little opening on the right side between two trees that you can swing a hyzer
Okay.
and like swing around this one tree and kind of get into like a decent spot in the fairway, but not quite as far up. And I would try to throw like a big turnover in the past. But this year I threw the hyzer each round. But I got a really good rip on it the third round and was way up on the fairway and again able to throw like a putter approach into the green where a lot of people are having to throw drivers.
that's fantastic. It's
Crazy.
always so amazing. I think, we were talking about a little earlier from you too, from playing in one of the big events last year. And when you had talked
Mhm.
about some of those throws that you do and you actually hit the green that nobody else is trying to get to, and you were trying to lay up. I think
Yeah,
pointed the Muskoka layup is what we're calling it now.
That's what
yeah.
Yeah, so that's awesome. Well, we had understood too that because everything's at one course, everybody's playing and the tee times go throughout the whole day. So the wind and
Mhm.
the weather came in and affected maybe some of the other events that were happening. But was there anything else about the weekend besides the playing on the course that you got a chance to do, or did you get to? I guess you didn't get a chance to do the long drive competition this go around.
No, yeah, we had some weather delays day one that kind of prevented that from going on in the evening. yeah, everything just kind of got pushed back, and the weather was not great. It was really cold and windy, so it kind of snuffed that opportunity out. But I know they did they had like a little putting competition set up there for I think it was the nationals qualifier. So you like register yourself in this little app, and then you did a station, 6 different stations, 3 putts at each station, for a total possible 36 points that you could get. And
Okay.
I don't know how many of the top scorers qualify into the national putting championship, but I know I tied for the high score of the day, so hopefully that qualifies me into the putting championship.
Yeah,
That's
that'd be
awesome.
awesome
Yeah, yeah.
for sure.
Well,
Well,
you mentioned it a little bit earlier about you just taking part in your big maple, and maybe you're going to get that out in BC for the in sometime around the BC Open. If we look forward to
Mhm.
next month, I'm happy, and I'm going with Sonia, who's in the chat here. I'll be heading out to Smith Lake Farms for the disc golf camp
Nice.
out there. So yeah, can't wait to see you out there. We just checked before we came on. There's still 10 spots available for people to sign up, so you can still get in.
Ni-
It's going to be an
Yeah, I'm
awesome
looking
camp.
forward to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Yourself,
think it's gonna be a really
Sophia.
fun event.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, yourself, Sophia, Thomas Gilbert, and Chad Stantz. 4 great professionals to learn from. So I think it's going to be a great time.
And Thomas, Daryl always does it. You know when you make a mistake one time and you can't unmake the mistake, it comes out Chad Stance almost every time instead of Chance Stad.
Did I say it wrong again?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I keep second guessing myself now. So
Yeah, it's one of those ones you almost you correct it and uncorrect it and then recorrect it,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
exactly.
No, but that's going to
nice.
be exciting. We
Yeah, I
heard
think I'm gonna
that.
have to joke and poke fun at him, call him Chad Stance next time.
Yeah, exactly.
If you
Well,
didn't point it out, Jeremy, nobody would notice.
oh, I don't know. Thomas and I noticed.
Okay,
Thomas
maybe.
is good buddies with him.
Yeah.
Well, you know, when you guys go out there too, is we heard that we talked to Clea and we talked to Chance not that long ago here,
Mhm.
and everything's set up for the event. They've still got your longest throw marking post there. That's going to be a chance.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you've got all the lessons and stuff happening. I'm really jealous. I'm not going to be able to make it out, but I'm hoping Daryl can bring back some of your wisdom and maybe teach me. I don't know if you can do that vicariously somehow.
I'm sure it won't have the same kudos coming from me, but I'll try and do my best.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. Nate Sexton and Sophia out there with Chance as well. Like I think we're gonna have a lot of really fun events planned out for the weekend. And I mean I had such a blast there last year, and it's only bigger and better this year. I can't imagine it's not gonna be an incredible experience.
Yeah.
You bet. And Thomas, are you gonna have? We understand, you know, Nate will have some Firebirds there to sign if people are interested, and Sophia's probably gonna have some Eagle L's. Are you bringing out
Yeah.
any discs for for people to pick up?
Yeah, yeah, I'm hoping to have a bunch of TSA discs out there to have, and I'm hoping that me and Sophia can possibly get some merch going for the World Game support
Mhm.
that we luckily like we're chosen for to represent Canada this summer.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely looking to possibly get that. I don't know, it'll be I think a little bit tight for Smith Lake, but that would be an amazing opportunity to have some stuff out there that people can buy to help support us on our journey over to China for the World Games.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that, because that was an announcement that just happened not too long ago that you will be going to Chengdu, China there for the World Games to represent Canada. So
Mhm.
you know, you did WIFDIF in Australia and you were part of the team event that was there for that side of things.
Yeah.
But this is like
Yes.
the precursor to getting trying to get disc golf into the Olympics. So you got to be really
Yeah,
excited about that.
exactly. It's really exciting. Like it's a awesome opportunity. Like from what I've heard about the event and like the things I've seen so far, like it seems super professional. Like there's an athlete village. They have like people chauffeuring the athletes like
Wow.
to and from the airport. So it's gonna be, I think, a really cool experience.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Fantastic. And we're going to let you go, but we did have one more question. There was someone asking about the chumps versus champs that's going to happen out at Smith Lake. And the
Yeah.
question is in
Does
there.
Thomas have any worries about the chumps beating them, or maybe Nate's zingers, because Nate's well known
Oh yeah.
for chirping along with everybody as well. So
Yeah, Nate singers are legendary. I'm No, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, they're called chumps for a reason. So I think me and Sophia will hopefully put up a pretty good fight and yeah, hopefully take down all the chumps army that's going to be facing us.
Oh, that's
That's
fantastic.
awesome. I like it. I like it.
All right. Well, Thomas, before we let you go, we want to give you a moment there to shout out any sponsors, or if there's anything else you wanted to mention, go right ahead.
Yeah, just want to shout out ThoughtSpace for supporting me and getting me out to all the events that I play each year. Also want to kind of shout out the tournament that I'm playing this weekend. We have another A-tier out here on the east coast of Canada, the DF Open. Playing that this weekend and really excited for that. It's an awesome crowd of people out here for the event. So it's awesome to spread like out the playing all over Canada and get the representation from both East Coast, Ontario, and West Coast, and hopefully a little bit more in the like Alberta, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg areas
Yeah.
in the future.
Oh, fantastic.
Perfect.
And Thomas, we are excited about the DF Open as well because we'll be doing our fantasy picks show right after this. We have Kevin King from the NADGT joining us. So you'll see another one of our posts with our picks and asking people to vote because we want to, just like you want to promote all these great events and see disc golf from one coast right to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Good luck at that tournament. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Perfect. Thank you for your time, Thomas.
All right, take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
There we go, Daryl.
There we go.
And that kind of wraps up our talk on Foxwood Open at this point, and we're already ready to move on to the spring runoff. So what we'll do is stick with our recap for spring runoff. Get that started. So we're going to start off with one of the most, actually two of the most level-headed, unflappable, and organized tournament directors. One of the best TD teams that's out there.
You got it.
These tournament directors take care of the spring runoff. Let's welcome Rebecca Johnson and Noah Higgins to the show. And Daryl's got...
Okay.
Good. How are you?
We're great. Doing good. Wow, that was quite a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah, well, that's what it seems every time. So we've only been in disc golf for what, 3 years, 2 years now, and we've been to your tournament twice. But it's one of those things that really makes a big difference is that you walk up to the tournament central and to the tent, and the two of you are just busy working away, and it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't seem to bother you. It's probably just years of experience or maybe your personalities. I'm not sure, but it's always a calming effect for a guy with a high personality like me.
Exactly.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. And I was going to say long time no see, but really 2 days.
2 days. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys all wrapped up now? Have you put everything away and kind of wrapped everything for the tournament up?
Yeah, I mean, I spent the day yesterday, doing the TD report and sending out all the payouts and paying the bills and that sort of thing. And so I went to bed last night feeling like everything's done.
Yeah.
Other
And
than
then
our own house,
Yeah.
everything's done.
We got to clean up the basement.
so
I know we've spoken to other TDs before, and it can be, some of them have said it can be 3 or 4 days before they finally get everything sorted out. So you're getting it all done and taken care of in 2 days. That's quite the accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and we want to give.
Well, I took.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say I took some holiday days to get this tournament done, and so I wanted to go back to work today. So it was nice to get everything put to bed yesterday, and then start on something new today. I've already started on a sanctioned league today that we're going to be running starting next week. So
Wow.
no rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that just goes to show, because the one thing we notice when you do look at disc golf scene is that whole area is so active, whether it's Lethbridge, Colehurst, McGrath, anywhere in that southeastern corner, you're doing it right as a team there, as your events, and then everyone else who's there.
Yeah, well, we're really lucky to have some very good courses here, and they're very accessible to us. So it makes it a lot easier for us to run multiple events in a year.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, one of the things we'll let everybody know, so spring runoff takes place in Lethbridge, Alberta. And for us Albertans and a lot of Western Canadians, it stands as the first big tournament of the season. And this year, you guys leveled it up in a couple ways. It was an A-tier this year, and you also celebrated the 10th anniversary of the tournament. How did the weekend go from your perspective?
From our perspective, everything went about as well as it possibly could, and we're super happy. It seemed like the players all had a good time. The environment was great. The level of play was just so impressive. Even the weather really held out for us for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, we were looking at the forecast the few days leading up to the tournament, thinking it was going to rain all day Sunday, and it really didn't. We managed to get everyone off almost all the way off the course before it really started to rain. And like Foxwood, we had to cancel our long drive
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
contest. But that's really it. You know, we didn't have any major weather problems, a little bit of wind on Monday in the afternoon for the pros. But other than that, it was pretty decent.
Mhm.
And it just seemed like, everybody had a really good time. So that was our main goal. People seemed happy with their player packs. The payouts were really good, and our silent auction was just a smash. It allowed us to add in more cash and leave a little bit behind for the club at the same time. So
For someone like me who's been playing there since at Nicholas Sharon since I was 10 or 11 years old, it's always really, really cool to pull into the parking lot and see like the tournament central atmosphere there because I'm so used to it just being the parking lot having a few vehicles in it and just the one practice basket there and I'm the only one there. Although it's not really the case anymore. The park is usually pretty busy nowadays with disc golf kind of exploding, but it's super cool to see that tournament atmosphere at Nicholas Sharon Park. And, maybe it's just because I'm so used to playing spring runoffs and rounds in Lethbridge at the courses and whatnot, but to me, it didn't feel like an A tier. Like if I travel, 8 hours to go somewhere to go play an A tier, it feels like the stakes are way higher. But because this tournament was 5 minutes from our front door, I guess it just I don't know. The pressure
yeah,
didn't really feel like it was there. And I guess taking as far as me playing, having like running it and the logistics of it on my mind too, I think kind of took away just like the thoughts and the pressure of playing.
Well, that's the other thing as well that we should mention as well. We speak to other TDs and they've got a lot on their plate running the event and, making sure everybody gets what they want and goes and knows where they're going. But not only are you co-TDing the event, you're actually playing in the event as well. Almost, and we say about how everything was getting set up on the Friday when we went down there and we met you at Tournament Central, Rebecca. But also we played a practice round at Nick Sheeran and then headed over to Aperture
Mhm.
to kind of, throw some holes over there. And who did we see over there? Noah was over there setting up a tent and getting all that ready as well. And then going out and playing 3 rounds of disc golf
Over the
and
weekend.
helping out after he finished his rounds as well. So that's quite the
yeah.
achievement.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
And we do have another assistant TD as well. His name is Justin Westerhout.
Yes.
Yes.
And Justin put in, just a massive amount of work on the ground, helping us with course setup and takedown and, working with outrageous advertising to get the caddy book done. And then, of course, working the start all weekend at Nicholas Sharon. And then we also had Matt Mitten over at Aperture Park running the start over there all weekend too. So we
Right.
have some really, really dedicated volunteers. And, this is not something that one person can pull off alone.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So we do have a really good team in place, and I hope that we keep that team moving forward to next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a big shout out to those starters too, because us playing in the event, you've got to play by the rules. This is an A tier and everything else. But what they really did a good job was is they didn't want anyone to get stroked unless it was absolutely necessary. So they were making sure to shout out names and shout across and really felt like they were concerned for everybody and wanted everybody to be there to do their best. And it came through. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure. But that new rule with the being there 5 minutes early for an A tier, where I think most TDs maybe it's different on the pro tour, but or whatever. But if you're 10 seconds late, like it's fine. You
Yeah.
know, if you show up a minute before your tee time, then
Yeah.
Then it's a
unfortunately,
problem.
yeah. But
yeah,
we leave a little bit of leeway, and if there's someone that's not there, we go running around looking for them before we just say, "Oh, you're getting 2 strokes." Right.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
We only had to stroke a few players, so
Oh, that's good.
that's
Good.
yeah.
Well, you had mentioned it, and we noticed, the new tee pads at Aperture, they were great. The silent auction was awesome. I learned some tips though for next year is make sure to be in contact with the TDs to check in or stay at the event right to the last minute.
Yeah.
I think I was on some stuff and then missed out. The beer gardens were great. Disc vendors were there. And then even Global TV showed up and interviewed a couple of the FPOs. So it really did make it feel like it had leveled up to that A tier that you were looking for.
Definitely, yeah.
Great to hear.
We were really super pleased that Joe and Amber stepped up to do that interview because it is women in disc golf week.
Mhm.
And so that worked out really nicely. I didn't get a chance to see the TV piece, but I'm gonna reach out and see if they'll send it to us so we can have a look. But I know that they did a great job. They're excellent representatives for the sport and for the event. So super pleased. Yeah.
That's great. And was there anything for either of you that stood out from the weekend, like kind of a favorite moment or something where you just kind of were able to sit back and smile about what was happening?
Um, the very first thing that came to mind for me wasn't really involved with winning the tournament, but honestly was seeing Kota win was super exciting.
Mhm.
Obviously I'm playing and I wish it was me, of course, but seeing someone who isn't a regular winning A tiers and for it to be our A tier, it's super nice to hand out that trophy and whatnot to someone who you haven't done for before.
Mhm.
That was the first thing that came to mind for me.
Yeah, not just our MPO champion, but also our FPO
And Joe,
champion.
yeah, Joe.
Won her first A tier at our tournament as
Yep.
well. So it was really, really exciting to be able to hand out trophies to two new people. And just the level of play, like for Joe to go out and shoot under par on these courses is just so impressive.
Yeah.
And Kota, and I think Kota had 17 down overall. The winner last year, which I guess was Noah, I think was 13 down. So I mean, just you have to just play that much better year after year, and even all the way down to like our FA3s, our FJ18, like the scores were just so impressive.
Yeah, my winning score last year, I think, would have got third place this weekend. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just keeps
I'm
getting.
pretty sure I won by like 6 or 7 strokes
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's amazing.
The level of play just keeps going up and up and up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you mentioned about the FPOs. That was one of our highlights. I know, we were lucky as you were out at Clearwater. We were lucky that our tee times were right after the FPOs. So we got to watch them tee off every morning. And while we were there, we were
Mhm.
lucky enough to see the FPOs in the morning. So we would get them to do something for us. And then when we would finish up, it would be right at the same time the MPOs were teeing off. So what we thought we would do is we actually got a lot of the MPO and FPO players to sign the spring runoff disc that we got,
Yes.
and that's the disc that we're going to give away.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with this one here, every FPO signed it, and then a number of the MPOs, there was a lot of them, so it was hard to get them all. And of course, you don't know who's going to win, but luckily enough, Kota's name is on here, and so is Joe's as well. So we're going to give that one away, and it's a 10th anniversary disc, and it's a great disc to begin with. But I think with all those awesome signatures, including yours, Noah, makes it just that much better.
Totally. Yeah.
That's a great idea. I wish I'd thought to do that for myself now that you mention it.
Well, you can enter the contest.
You could win the
Yeah. There you go.
I'll win it.
Yeah. So while you were talking about, it takes everybody to run an event. Kevin King is in the chat here. He was spotting on one of the island holes, and he had his daughter spotting on the other hole, and he just said that he had his daughter spotting on hole 13, and she said that both the ladies' cards and the both the ladies' cards in the FPO were super nice and made her day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
super appreciative of her spending some time out there on Monday as well, and all of our spotters.
Yeah.
She was very professional too, Kevin. She did a great job.
Yeah.
She's I'm not sure exactly how old she is, but
Yeah.
she was
Fu-
very professional about it.
Fun fact that Kevin told me was that we actually had a world distance champion
Mhm.
spotting for us,
That's right.
and that's
Yeah,
what his daughter is.
like-
Yeah.
Well, that's
4 or
great.
5 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, we're going to get going. We've got Joe coming on right away. But before we let you go, was there any other volunteers or anything else you wanted to shout out? Just any last thank yous there before we move on?
Just, I guess Justin and Noah, my assistant TDs, and Matt. I think I mentioned Matt Mitten, and then Amber. I wanted to thank for conducting our women's clinic on Friday night, and of course Jordan Allway for coming down, running our beer gardens all weekend, and being on the ground with us. Um, Kevin, our lead spotter, does a fantastic job as always, and then my big sister Cindy. She's came out and spent the whole weekend helping us out at tournament headquarters. And then if I could, we have so many sponsors, I can't possibly
yeah.
thank them all, but I really just want to shout out Prodigy Disc Canada and Cold Garden Beverage Co. For their generosity. This event would not have been possible without them.
And our 170 something players that came out, obviously this wouldn't happen without our players. So
Exactly.
we're super grateful for every single person that comes out and has a good time, and all the feedback is really greatly appreciated. So thanks to everyone
Yeah,
that came
and
out.
hopefully we'll see them all next year.
Yes.
Yeah. That's it. You run an amazing event like this. I'm sure it's the first one on their list they want to get back to next year.
That's right.
Thanks, guys. We're glad you were able to make it down too.
Means a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. And you put on a tournament that was so good. We both played our best tournament of our lives. So we'll definitely want to be back next year.
Exactly.
Great. Well, thanks a lot. We'll look. It looks like Noah, you're playing River City Cup in June, so we'll either be playing or volunteering, and we'll be around. So we'll see you two up there when you come up.
Sounds good. I should be there.
Okay.
Awesome. We'll see you then.
Okay, bye guys.
Perfect. Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. There we go. Go from the TDs. Why don't we go to an FPO winner? What do you think, Daryl?
I think it's a great idea.
All right. Our next guest has had quite the start to their season. She's played 5 tournaments so far going into spring runoff and had won every single one of them. Then she heads down to Lethbridge, decides, I need one more win for my collection. Join us in welcoming Jo Henderson to the podcast.
Hello.
Hey, Jo, how are you doing?
We're doing really well, and it's so good to see you. It's only been a couple days, but it's awesome to see you again and see you as a first A-tier champion. How does that feel?
Oh my gosh. It is still kind of sinking in and it's pretty surreal, but I feel like the game plan was executed this weekend and that feels great.
Yes.
There you go.
For sure. Well, we looked at your PDGA page, as we were saying in the intro, and we saw 6 tournaments this year in 2025 and 6 wins. There's a number 1 beside every single tournament. There really isn't much more you could ask for to start the year, is there?
Honestly, not much more. I mean, some of the ratings were maybe not the best. I think there was one tournament that wasn't above my rating, but other than that, it's been a really solid start. I feel like things are clicking in my game and the momentum is moving, so it's good.
Well, that's the problem when you get to the top of your game. Those incremental, you can't always better yourself in every event that you go in, every round that you play. So
Yeah.
6 wins out of 6, I think that's pretty impressive.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely surprising myself every
Yeah.
tournament, not gonna lie.
It just goes to show what professional Jo is and how she wants to improve her game. That she takes 6 wins out of 6, but maybe some of the ratings weren't too great. So always something to work on.
Always something. Always
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jo, did it mean a little more this year? Because last year we went down to Lethbridge and you were there as well, and you were all set to play, but unfortunately, due to an injury, things didn't go quite as planned, and that kind of was a bit of the way the year went. So did it just make it that much sweeter this year?
Yes, honestly, like my goal for this tournament was just to like kind of finish and to get through because like you said, I tore 3 of the or I tore some muscles in my forearm last year for spring runoff and so for sure just like honestly just getting through the tournament was kind of my goal. I have never played that tournament before, which I was super
Right.
excited to finally come down to Rebecca and Noah's tournament and I just wish I could have played last year, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity and the weather honestly this year too. So we got really lucky, but
Yeah.
it did mean something more for sure.
Well, for sure. And then overall, how did you feel about your weekend? Did it kind of go, like Daryl and I, what we'll do is we'll draw up a game plan. We'll go hole by hole. We'll create our own scorecard completely separate from what the actual scorecard is, and then approach our tournament that weekend. Do you have a way that you approach it? And did it go according to that plan?
My tournament philosophy for this weekend was just to avoid bogeys at all costs. And honestly, I did pretty good. I said birdies would come, like just stay patient and birdies will come on both courses. I find that there is opportunity for birdies, but don't get greedy because that's when if you get greedy, that's when mistakes or I don't know, things can
Yeah.
start getting awry. And I felt like for myself, it was just about like literally just staying patient and hole after hole. If I get a par, if I get a bogey, if I get a birdie, honestly, just move on to the next hole. Let's figure it out. Game plan's the same. So just sticking to the game plan and executing each shot.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that game plan change depending on the players behind you and who you're
I would
playing with
say
on the card?
I would say not so much depending on the players, but I would say it does depend on the course for sure. Like
Right.
some courses I would if it's super windy, I'd opt to like lay up a lot of putts, but and just play super duper safe and like
Yeah.
birdies will come if I can get my drive close to the basket, like then if I'm in the circle then I'll go for it, but
Yeah.
a lot of this weekend was about the weather and the fact that I didn't really have to play in that really awful of weather. Like we didn't
Yeah.
really have I would say even Sunday was not awful for us. I would say the back nine was maybe picking up to like 30-kilometer winds, but nothing more than that, which
Right.
in Calgary, we've been really, really working hard on our wind game over here. It's been very windy for every Get Rated event that Alex has been putting on for us. But yeah, so I would say that was probably the biggest difference for this weekend. But yeah, the weather was in our favor. So
Right. Yeah. Well, I
mhm.
mean, it definitely looked that way because you were super consistent all weekend,
Yeah,
like shooting -2 the first round,
yeah,
+1 the second round, -1 the third round,
yeah,
total of -2 for the whole weekend. Your
yeah.
final round, you shot 17 pars and one birdie, and like you said, just keeping it a clean round.
I
Was
had
there?
so many looks at birdie too. You wouldn't even know it, but I did, and I just there were so many that chained out on the right side. Ugh,
On
Yeah.
every
right
time.
on
But
pro side.
yeah, on pro side, I know. I every time I was like, "Okay, dead center on the pole, dead center on the pole," and then I would go just a little bit right, and but it happens. And honestly, I was like, "Okay, it's okay. You're maintaining. You haven't gotten bogey yet, so that's okay. You're doing your game plan, so it's okay." Yeah.
So I guess it was just that game plan that just helped you stay so steady the whole weekend, just consistently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, that and my upshots. I will say my approaches and my upshots, like the zone. I wish I had one here, but I have two in the bag. But those are my workhorse. I would get off the tee pretty clean. Like Nick Sharon, I feel like it's kind of hard to mess up your tee shots that much there because the fairways are so wide and like usually there's a way to scramble out of it, right? Like
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. But most of my tee shots were really, really clean. They didn't have the most distance, but that's fine. I
Yeah.
made up for it a lot in my putting and my upshots. So
Right.
mhm.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
and that's the best way to be, right? You can
yeah,
be the longest driver, but then mess up your upshot and putting and still take a bogey.
Hmm.
Like
yeah,
we said before, keep it center of the fairway, get it close to the basket, and then you're golden.
Yeah.
yeah,
Obviously that
yeah,
worked. Maybe that's what we should start getting into that philosophy, Jeremy.
Oof, we
yeah,
could try. We could try.
We can try.
yeah. Sidearm upshot. That's all I did all weekend. And I had one really nice backhand upshot on the last day with my Gabby Lee. It was my Gabby Lee Envy. So
Oh,
with
okay.
the little bunnies on it. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
one really perfect upshot with that backhand, which felt amazing. That one was
Yeah.
really good. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, those bunnies, I've got a detour. I've got one of Gabby's detour and she's got her little signature on there. And I'm always like, Gabby's flying with me and the bunnies are so cute. It's always, sometimes I look for opportunities just to throw the disc. Maybe it's not the perfect one for the shot, but I do it anyways.
I know, it's so cute. They're so cute. They're adorable. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and as you mentioned, Nicholas Sharon, it's a little bit wide open at points, but it is quite a long course, a
Mhm.
big one to reach. And then Aperture is more of the technical course. Did you have a preference over which one you prefer to play? Do you like them both or?
Um, honestly, I like them both. I do prefer the more technical courses. I would say that after playing Nick Sharon for how well I did, I was actually really shocked with how well I played that course. But yeah, I would say that I prefer, I think, the more technical shots it makes you think about what you're gonna like which disc you're gonna choose. For Nick Sharon, I threw almost the same 3 drivers on every single hole, so minus the island hole. But yeah, on almost every hole, I threw the exact same 3 drivers. So
Right.
I
The-
appreciate the variety and giving every disc a chance to fly in the bag.
Yeah, the Aperture does that. I think you're right. I think most of us could have gotten away with like a satchel bag with 7 discs in it and a
Yeah.
putter for Sharon, because you're right. I do recall that as well. It was the same 2 drivers over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, when you
And if one didn't get there, then you just throw it again.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. You're going for a second shot with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you looked at Aperture on that side and the more technical aspect of it, did you have a hole there that you really enjoy? And is there a hole there that you maybe dreaded a little bit?
I can talk about the one that I dreaded. Hole 9, I believe. Is it the like tiny? It's the one with the Mando on the left.
I call it the daycare
And-
hole. Is that the one you're thinking?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one. Yeah. That would
Yeah.
be the one I dreaded. And the ones that I liked, I really did actually hole 6 also was another one I dreaded. I don't know why, but my
Oh.
forehand, I
Hmm.
couldn't quite get over on it enough. I don't know
Right.
if it was the wind, but that was one of my bogey holes and I missed the putt on the right side in that one. So
Wow.
but I would say one of the holes that I do like the water hole. I find that hole is fun. It's challenging.
Wow.
I like the hole before the water hole where it's like that uphill carry.
Mhm.
Yes.
I have a very good disc in the bag for it. I throw a strike and just on hyzer and it just flips up to flat and rides straight to the right. Like that one. I'm trying to think of any other holes. I like hole 2 a lot.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
it's a really good birdie to get and it's
Yeah.
pretty easy for the most part for me. I
Yeah.
don't, in my game plan, I throw a forehand
I birdied it.
off to the left-hand side, forehand off to the left-hand
Yeah.
side, and then another forehand zone. I didn't birdie it in the tournament, but I birdied it both practice rounds, so I like that hole. Yeah, there's a lot of good holes out there though.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well, and it also sounds like it to me too, Daryl, is the next time we go down for spring runoff, if Joe's there,
Mhm.
we've got to arrange to play a practice round, because it sounds like she's got most of those shots
Got it
figured out.
dialed in,
So
yeah,
that's
for sure.
that would help us out a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Joe, aside from the tournament over the weekend, like the actual playing in the rounds, there was a lot of other things going on. Did you have any highlights about the event itself that you enjoyed?
Yes. Honestly, the FPO ladies that I get to play with week in and week out, I just got to give them a shout out. They made that weekend so fun. They were so encouraging. They were just like right there with me in my excitement of like winning my first A tier. So for sure, a shout out to them. They brought the hype. I don't know if anybody heard us at like 8:30 in the morning, but we would do a little chant and we would always say whoop up drive at the end because of the wonderful whoop up drive in Lethbridge. So
Yeah.
that was super fun. But yeah, they just kept the spirits up. It was really cool seeing Jessie again, Jessie Prado Smith.
Mhm.
It's always fun when she comes out to a tournament and she always brings her A game, which is super fun to play against her. Yeah, and I would just honestly say like the whole tournament itself, Noah and Rebecca and everyone, volunteers, everyone who helped out with the tournament, it just ran so smoothly. I feel like there was not really anything that was like you could complain about. Like it was just
Yeah.
really, really good.
Mhm.
Really well done tournament. So
Yeah, we'd 100% agree. Hey, Daryl.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even after you finished your round, like you said, there's the silent auction that you can go and check out at Tournament Central there. Have a beer in the beer garden, which I think most of us took part in sometime over the
yes.
weekend.
Yep.
They didn't run the long drive competition in the end, but that was available.
Mhm.
You've got the
Putting
town of
competition.
Lethbridge, the putting competition.
Yep.
Yeah, there's always something to do there. You're not just a case of, oh, I've done my round, I'm going back to
Yeah.
my Airbnb or whatever. But
Yeah, well, it was almost like it was hard to partake in everything, because there was also the doubles
that's
that
right.
happened
Mhm,
too.
mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and then Amber did the women's disc golf clinic on the
That's
Friday.
right.
So it
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
such a jam-packed weekend. So it was really showed when you've got the right volunteers and the right TDs and you've got the right support for an event, how wonderful it can really be.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. Yeah. And also shout out to Two Guys Pizza. We were there a lot. It was really good.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
food in Lethbridge.
Yeah, there is. That's for sure.
That,
Yeah.
that was another bonus of the players pack, right?
Yeah.
Is that you got the bag tag and
that's
yeah,
right.
you're able to go
Yeah.
over there and
At the other pizza place. Yeah.
oh, the
bar.
Baker
Yeah.
Street.
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
You
yeah,
betcha.
Yeah.
my mistake. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. No, it was a really great weekend, and we're really proud of you, Joe. Congratulations. We're excited to
Thank you.
see, I want your streak to continue. I'd like to look at the end of the year and see like 15 first places, but hopefully, fingers crossed, that's what it'll be.
We'll see. Hey, can only keep going in one direction, I guess, whether that's up or down. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
there
go.
you go. Well, before we let you go, did you have any, did you want to shout out your sponsors or anything else that you might want to mention before we let you go?
Yeah, for sure. I have a couple of new sponsors this year, so that's fun.
Oh,
I have another round disc golf. I have passions for sale there. So if you did want to buy any of those, we can, if you just like DM me, you can do that and we can figure out Canadian shipping and all of that. So just so you know, those are available for all Canadians too. But yeah, I can figure that out with another round. And then I have Disc Republic. If you use my code Joe, it supports me. And that would be amazing if you could do that if you're already planning to purchase something from there. I also have Vessi, which kept my feet dry all weekend. Thank goodness, because it was raining out there.
Yeah.
And I have Zuka and grip equipment. And honestly, I had no problems with my bag or my storage during the whole tournament. So that was honestly such a game changer. And thank you to Cam also for carrying that for me and being the best caddy of all time. So
There you go.
well, that's great. Yeah.
It sounds like you've got every part of your golf game sorted out. You've got your discs, you've got your footwear, you've got your bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need apparel, I guess, right? That's the big
There you go.
So
There you go.
yeah.
And I can say I have one of those passions. I picked one up from you at Falcons Fight last year, and it's fantastic. They're a great disc, and it's got such a good stamp on there. So
Thank you so much. Yeah.
you bet. Okay. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. We'll catch you at the next tournament for sure, or the next time we're heading down Calgary, we'll let you know. So
Sounds good. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
Take
you're
care.
welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
bye. What a great FPO.
Oh, amazing.
One of my favorites.
Yeah,
for sure. For sure. All right. We got one more guest for you. Thanks everybody for hanging in there. Let me get my intro going here.
You can go for it.
All right. Our next guest showed up on the radar, on our radar, when we started doing our fantasy A tier pick shows last year. He kept showing up at the top of the leaderboard and on lead cards in Western Canada and everywhere we could see him. I saw him down at the Limber Open and was impressed with his smooth, effortless shots that just seemed to soar and go forever with no effort at all.
Yeah.
And then I think you caught up with him as well.
Yeah, I was sitting around the lunch tables at the Edmonton Open last year, and he came and sat down with us, and we kind of chatted with him there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this weekend he went down to spring runoff and everything came together. Let's welcome Kota Postma to his first appearance on the Chain Out podcast. Hey, Kota.
Hey guys.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Oh, looking good where you are there. Are you out on a course
thank
right
you.
now?
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of a league round right now at the Nordic Center.
Oh,
I almost finished. So I just teed off on hole 17 and then I thought I should probably check in with you guys here.
Oh, great. Well, we appreciate you doing
Yeah.
that. That's so awesome that you were able to. And that's out at the Canmore Nordic Center is where you are. Is that right?
Yeah, Canmore Nordic Center. My buddy Tomo runs a league at the Nordic Center here. It's called the Bow Valley Disc Golf League. So check it out if you're ever in town on a Wednesday.
Cool. Fantastic.
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, we appreciate you joining us and congratulations on the big win this weekend. This was your first A tier win. Has the reality of it hit you yet? Are you still kind of floating on cloud nine?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was actually my second win ever as well. So I'd never yeah, that was my second win. I just had my first win last year at a C tier and yeah, it felt really good. It didn't really hit me in the moment. It was kind of on the drive home when I was talking to friends and family and I was pretty hyped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were your friends pretty pumped as well? Were they trying to level you out or were they pumping you up when you guys were driving home?
Oh yeah, it was a good time. No, I was talking to a lot of friends on the phone. Friends I'll shout them out, Darren and Amy, and my girlfriend Gabby. So yeah.
That's awesome. I'm not
Yeah,
sure if
they're
you're.
really supportive.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm not sure if you're aware. I just wanted to jump in here. I don't know when you said you teed off on 17. I don't know if you've walked up yet, but Matt says that you've got a circle 2 putt on 17, so he's just keeping you in the loop there.
Really? I thought I had a good shot, but I guess not.
There you go. Hopefully they kick it closer. If anybody touches it, nobody moves it further away while you're talking to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say that there maybe was some suspect action by Matt. Sorry guys, I'm in the middle of an interview right now. If you don't mind. If you don't mind turning off the music there, Matty. Or I'll just move.
Yeah, we don't want to get shut down.
Yeah.
These are all the Canmore guys here.
Oh,
There you
that's
go.
fantastic.
Sorry about that.
No,
That's
it's
all
no
good.
problem, Kota. Well, out of all the
Yeah.
A tiers that you could win, you certainly picked a good one because this was such a big event and it had so many great Canadian MPOs. So if you're going to do it, you certainly did it right.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it was one that I wouldn't really expect to win. I mean, coming from Canmore, it's I play a lot of wooded golf, and
Yeah.
Lethbridge being kind of open and windy, but yeah, no, it was great. Definitely a lot of good competition out there.
Yeah. So looking back at the weekend, how did it go from your perspective? Did it go exactly as you kind of wrote it up?
Um, Honestly, I didn't go into the weekend with much of a game plan, but I try to limit my over par strokes all the time, and round one I was able to do that.
Hmm.
I didn't bogey round one, so that was really nice.
Right.
And yeah, I kind of I play by feel. Like if I'm having a good round, I'll go for shots that I wouldn't normally go for, and yeah, if the round is going bad, maybe I'll play a bit safer.
Right. Yeah. So, like you was talking about there, that end of round one, you were in first place, 1 stroke lead over Connell McLeod, and then you had 2 stroke lead over Casey Hannemeyer as well.
Mhm.
So, what were
Yeah.
you thinking at that point with those people bearing down on you?
I don't check scores during the round. I'll only check my cards. So
Right.
it wasn't until the end of the round when I saw that I was in the lead and I saw Connell was right behind me. Or he at one point I think he was actually 1 stroke ahead of me.
Right.
And yeah, Casey was right there. So yeah, I was honestly I was kind of disappointed after my round. I was like, I feel like that was a good round. I should definitely have the lead, and I checked the scores, and of course, Connell and Casey are up there shooting heaters. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So then going into the second round, you play another clean second round, but Casey
Mhm.
did what Casey does. He throws 10
Exactly.
birdies, an eagle, and 7 pars. He managed to get ahead of you by 3 strokes on that second round. So then when you check the scorecard at the end of that round and you seen that, Casey had kind of overtaken you there for the lead, did that change your game plan at all? Or was that just kind of, okay, it is what it is, and we'll just go into the third round the same kind of game plan?
Yeah, no, yeah, Casey's play, like, obviously super solid, and he obviously shreds, but
Hmm.
it doesn't really affect my game that much. I'm trying to play like my own game. I mean, aperture is you try to birdie as much as you can. So
Yeah.
I was just doing that. Obviously he was going off, but yeah, I just try not to think of what he's doing and really focus on my own game.
Yeah, that makes sense. So
Yeah.
then round 3 starts,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
Casey has a rough start with a tough drive off the tee. Did that have any change on your mindset at that point, or is it was still you weren't focused on what he was doing, and it was still you're playing your own game?
It was well, it was definitely a surprise,
Yeah,
but I was already so nervous teeing off hole one. Like I was so focused on my own shot, and it was kind of like don't mess up
yeah.
is all I was thinking. Obviously, yeah.
Because
It's
that had to
as
be
a
tough with.
competitor, it's oh sorry.
No, sorry, I was just going to say it had to be tough with Casey doing that first. Casey tees off first and, hits the ground 20 feet in front of him and rolls OB. And then you
Mhm.
have to step up after that. It's got to be a little bit in your mind thinking, okay, like you said, just don't mess up my shot now.
Yeah, exactly. It was just get with hole one at Nick Sheeran. I don't have a big forehand or anything, so
Mhm.
I'm really focused on the angle I'm gonna throw my driver at, and yeah, I was just thinking about that. My legs were a bit well, my palms were sweaty, of course, and arms weak. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And vomit on you. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you got going there too, is then you got out cleanly and you started on that round. And one of the things that was the last thing we saw before we left and hopped in the car. We had to head back up to Edmonton, but we were watching along with PDGA Live. And one thing from all of the Parked Pro coverage we've seen of events, whether it's Max or Casey or Noah or whoever's there, what we do know is that when Casey gets behind or maybe gets a little bit angry, he kind of goes into chase mode. And then you're now the subject that he's looking at. So did it feel like a pretty good battle there for the rest of the round as he's kind of trying to make up for a bad start and you're just trying to play your game and take advantage of this opportunity that's come in front of you?
Yeah, it was so after hole 1, I guess I had 2 strokes, or maybe he tripled, I birdied, so it was 4 strokes. So I only had a 1-stroke lead on him, I guess, after hole 1.
Right.
And I knew it's inevitable. Casey's gonna get birdies and he's gonna compete. But yeah, I birdied hole 1, and then hole 2, I hit a nice like a straddle out circle 2 putt for par. And after I hit that, I was kind of like, oh, it's like kind of my day. It feels like things are going my way. So
Right.
yeah, obviously, yeah, I think I did a good job of not thinking about Casey and kind of yeah, focusing on my own game. I've obviously said that a bunch, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was what happened. Yeah.
No, and that's good, and it's just amazing, and that's where it was fantastic to see your score just coming in consistent all the way through right to the end.
Mhm.
And consistent it was, hey, Daryl?
Yeah, exactly. So you ended up shooting 3 over 1,000 rated rounds with a 1022 event, and that's 44 points above your current PDGA rating as well. Is it safe to say, and we mentioned before that you've won 2 tournaments, this being your first A tier. Is it safe to say that this was your best rated tournament you've ever played?
Yeah, it definitely was. Round 1 was my best rated round ever by like maybe 20 points.
Wow.
And yeah, by far my highest rated event. Yeah.
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 That's
Probably
cool.
by also 20 points around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
so
was
so
it's yeah. I always I always feel like I can shoot hot, but yeah, it's rare that it happens 3 rounds kind of in a row, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's just it, right?
Yeah.
The stars aligned. You were playing your game, and
Mhm.
it's something for us to take into consideration whenever we're playing, because I don't know about you, but the if I don't check scorecards either, but even just looking at the people on my card or thinking about how I'm playing, I can get affected by others around me. So the fact that, you've said it, like you said multiple times, that you didn't care what Casey was doing, or you didn't care what everyone else is doing. You played your own game, you stuck to your game, and obviously it showed three great rounds, and you win the event.
yeah.
Yeah, and obviously shout out to my card mates. Like I like to talk a bit during the round. I mean, not as much final round, but yeah, having good card mates and being able to, have a quick chat between holes or whatever is always helpful
Yeah.
for the mental. Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And aside from the great play that you did there, were there any other highlights for you of the weekend, whether it was on the course or off the course? Was there something else that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I had a good Airbnb with some friends and some new friends, Wilson, Mitchell, Thomas German, who you guys are obviously familiar with, and some Saskatchewan friends. So yeah, we had a good time at the Airbnb. Watched a lot of sports. We watched all the hockey games and some PGA Tour and disc golf, obviously. So yeah, we had a good time at the Airbnb. And also checked out the YMCA at Lethbridge. Was it Saturday morning or Sunday morning? And they got a sweet facility out there. So
Nice.
playing some hoops and yeah, badminton with Eric
Yeah.
Weave. That was a good time as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wasn't enough to just play disc golf all weekend,
Yeah.
hey? Throw some more sports
Play
in there.
lights out 3 rounds, but you also got to throw in some hoops and some other sport as well. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks like you've got a couple of good events coming up now. You got the Fernie Tourney, and then in your hometown tournament, Big Bear Classic as well. We'll be watching along PDGA Live. We'll be keeping track of there. We'll continue to see your upward trajectory on those events.
Mhm.
Yeah, hopefully it's upward. Or or not downward too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like we were saying to Joe, once you get to the top, it's hard to keep reaching for the stars, right? As long as you're improving
Yeah.
little bit by little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's why I like this game, right? It's just little improvements, and yeah.
Yeah.
That's what draw me to it initially, is just like, you're trying to better your score every round. And yeah. But yeah, Fernie and Canmore. Fernie will be fun. I haven't played there, but I should be getting a practice round in Friday. And yeah, the big one, Big Bear, that'll be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as you're going along here, this is where my dad jokes and puns come in, Daryl. So a lot of times, you're playing really well and you're doing that, but if things don't go that well, you'll feel like maybe you're up the creek without a paddle. But now, after his 8-tier win, you're going to be all set because you've got your paddle trophy to help you out.
Yeah, it's a sweet paddle.
There you go. Well, Kota, we want to let you get back to your round and sink that nice circle 2 putt you've got on 17. But before we let you go, do you have any sponsors, or were there any caddies or anybody else that you wanted to shout out before we let you go?
No sponsors.
Yeah.
Yet. Yeah, maybe. I'd be open to it, but no, I guess I'll shout out Thomas German again. He walked with me through the last, I guess like the back 9-ish of my final round, and he's a good buddy, and he's a good person to have around. So yeah, shout out to him.
Yeah.
Help me calm the nerves, and yeah, my parents as well. Shout out mom and dad.
Oh, for sure. Definitely.
And apparently Kota's one back with 2 to play.
Okay. So
Keep
everyone
score
knows where
updated.
you are in the league. You're 1 back with 2 to play. So we'll let you get back there. But thanks for joining us tonight, Kota. And we know we'll see you when you come up for the Edmonton Open. We'll be around at that point, and we'll catch up with you there.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you for joining.
All right. Cheers.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
There you go, Daryl. What a weekend.
There you go. We got through them all.
That's right. We did good. We did 5 for 6. When you try to put 6 guests together in the same show,
Yeah.
anything can happen. So
5 out of 6 C2. That's what I call that.
yeah. There you go. But what a weekend. What a great show. So many awesome guests. And I gotta say, we said it at the top, I'm loving that tournament season is back because this is so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what we do. We love talking to disc golf, and we love talking to great disc golfers.
Yeah. And we also love all the activity that you're giving us in the chat tonight. It's been fantastic to have so many people watching all of these great players and supporting them, because that's what it's all about. It's about bringing more people to disc golf, gathering some support, getting people to know who these people are. Like you said, you and I knew who Kota was on paper at the beginning of the year last year. And then we got to meet Kota, and now you got an 8-tier champion, another name in Canadian disc golf.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if you're stuck around this long, we'd love for you to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, please jump over there and do that. Follow us on Instagram. Click that bell. What is the cool thing the kids say?
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Like, comment, subscribe.
There you go. So you should be doing this part.
I got buttons to push.
Yeah, we're currently at 388 subscribers on YouTube, and we'd love to see that number grow with your help. We've been putting together a prize pack with discs galore and other things like that for our 500 subscriber giveaway when we get there. We have this signed spring runoff disc that we talked about. We're going to be giving that away, so watch out on Instagram for that to come up.
What are we also giving away?
Well, last week we spoke about this Fractal A2, another Prodigy disc, and it's a pretty nice one. As you can see, it's got some green foil on it. So we'll be giving that one away. So go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your sentence.
Oh, so watch for that post to go up?
Yeah. One thing I would just like to shout out is we like to support Canadian disc golf. As you can see behind me, I've got a lot of Canadian Pro discs that are signed. One person that's trying to sell some discs, and we both got one from him over the weekend. Is if you're ever out and about, and if you ever see Casey Hannemeyer around on the course, or if you see him at a tournament, go up to him. He's got some discs for sale, $15 a disc. You can't really beat that.
Yeah, and you'll see a cool
he'll
logo.
even sign them as well.
And they had some pretty cool logos too on them.
They did.
It was a ram, I believe.
There you go.
Yeah, there's a look at it. So check it out.
Kind of. There you go. Nice foil stamp. I'm trying to. There you go.
Yeah. And as always, we appreciate the way you support us. We try to support you back with some discount codes. You can use the code CHAINOUT. Sometimes you have to put a space, sometimes you don't. So check that out. Use it at checkout at BR Disc Golf to get you 10% off. Cardinal Disc Golf to get you 10% off. Go to Chains, the disc golf board game, buy yourself a disc golf game and get 25% off with the code.
Exactly.
And then if you want a great goat towel, you can go to Goat, the greatest of all towels, use the code COP15 and get 15% off there.
And what else can they do if they want to support us?
Well, if they want to support us, you can also join our Patreon. We have multiple levels for you, including free. Everybody who joins helps us out. It helps us grow. There's a way to be entered into contests automatically that way. If you want to support us in a one-time way, you can go to our link tree and buy us a beer. We always like our beverages.
A par on 17 for Kota, just in case everybody needs to find out.
All right, so he's get one more stroke back there.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll be hanging around too long, but you gotta let us know how he finishes on 18, Maddie.
If it's quick enough, maybe we'll put it in the next one. Everyone will have to tune in.
There you go.
And that's what we're going to ask you to do. So thank you to all our Patreon members who have already subscribed. Go over there, sign up yourself. Join us for the live fantasy picks we're going to do for the DEP Open with Kevin King of the NADGT. It's going to be fantastic. You can kind of help him out with his picks if you want, or maybe, as you're going to see what the results were from last week, help Daryl and I out with our picks.
Yeah, maybe. I'm just luring you into a false sense of security. I didn't want to run away with it again.
Yeah, there you go. So, Daryl, we've got this wonderful spring runoff disc.
I think it's an FX2, isn't it?
It is an FX2, 175 grams.
Sweet weight.
Yeah, and we're going to get this out to one of our lucky listeners. What do you think they're going to do with this disc?
Well, it depends if they're me or you. If they have the same sort of personality as me, they're going to say, this. There's only one place this could go. It needs to go on a wall.
Well, and if they did take it on a wall and they hung it up on a wall,
Mm-hmm.
and they put it up there and they had it nicely looking, they might even have a light shining on it.
Right.
And it sat there and was like the masterpiece of all the things that they've ever had on display. There's one thing that disc could never do.
Well, it won't do if it's hanging on a wall.
That's right. It could never.
It could never
chain out.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you shortly.